Dog is trapped on railway track, then her brother arrives. Daniela's stomach turned upside down as the rumbling got louder. Her chest tightened with anxiety as the unimaginable was happening. Her dog, her everything, was stuck and the train was only getting closer. She started screaming as she broke into a sprint towards her dog, even if it was in vain. She knew she'd never make it in time. But then she saw a blur rush past her. Maybe she was too slow, but he wasn't. Daniela Koval lived an average life in Ukraine with her boyfriend, Alex. The two made enough money to live in a middle-class apartment, which fortunately let them keep their two dogs. The condition was that they had to walk them every day to make sure all of their energy was out of their system so they wouldn't bark and be noisy inside the apartment, disturbing their neighbors. Lexi and Tiger were Daniela and Alex's dogs. The two were siblings and had been rescued from a train yard when they were puppies. There was no sign of their mother, so the couple decided to take them home and give them a second chance. But as the pups grew into adults, one of them developed a peculiar habit that would one day spell danger for all of them. But they had no idea just how difficult things would get. The couple would walk the dogs in the evening, while whoever didn't would prepare dinner for when they got back. But Daniela and Alex had different routes to take the dogs for variety. But Daniela noticed something strange on her route while walking her two fluffballs. It was something that had never happened before and brought back memories that she hadn't thought about in years. Daniela noticed that at the same part of her route, whenever she walked her dogs, Lexi would try to pull away and get through a nearby fence. Tiger was a loyal brother and would always push to follow his sister, so naturally, he would pull away. Daniela had to fight hard to pull them back and always could. But this behavior bothered her. Where did Lexi so anxiously want to go without her? But when she looked over the fence, she understood what was going on. Once Daniela noticed what was on the other side of the fence, her mouth hung open and a chill went down her spine. It was the rail yard that she had rescued the dogs from years prior. After thinking on the way home, it then clicked in her mind. Lexi wanted to look for her mother. When she found them, they were alone, and perhaps she just missed her mother and wanted to see if she was there. Daniela thought about the occurrence that evening and even mentioned it to her boyfriend, Alex. The two discussed the day they found them and the possibility of their mother still being there. Even if the chances were slim. But what Alex hadn't considered was that Lexi was so desperate to find out that the next day when they woke up, they realized she was missing. And things would only get worse from there. Daniela woke up the next morning and started her normal routine. She brushed her teeth, got dressed, and went to the kitchen to make breakfast and feed her dogs. But when she went to the living room she saw something terrible. Loyal Tiger was sitting in the living room whining, something was very wrong. She asked him what was up and he immediately jumped up and ran to their front door. To Daniela's surprise, it was open and Lexi was missing. Alex and Daniela rushed to look for their little angel. They knew the tiger would take them right to her as her loyal brother. But as they followed him, Daniela realized where he was taking them to the rail yard. The couple followed Tiger and crawled through a fence to get to the location. But when they got there, they saw something so tragic that it would shake them for years to come. As they approached the tracks, Daniela saw something she wished she could unsee. She saw her little Lexi in a position that broke her heart. She had to be dreaming, but unfortunately, she wasn't, and this was very real. Her little Lexi had gotten her legs stuck on the train tracks. She was pinned and couldn't move. She had no idea how she had even managed to get into the situation, but it was her worst nightmare. And to make matters worse, they heard a distant rumble. Daniela's stomach turned upside down as the rumbling got louder. Her chest tightened with anxiety as the unimaginable was happening. Her dog, her everything, was stuck and the train was only getting closer. She started screaming helplessly as she broke into a sprint towards her dog, even if it was in vain. She knew she'd never make it in time. But then she saw a blur rush past her. Maybe she was too slow, but he wasn't. Daniela couldn't believe her eyes. There was only one of them that could make it to Lexi in time, and it was her four-legged brother. Tiger shot past Daniela like a bullet. She had never seen him run that fast before. She feared that she would end up losing two dogs now. She watched in horror as Tiger got to Lexi just as the train got to them, and they both went under. She dropped her knees and started crying, but it wasn't over yet. But after the train passed through, Daniela looked back at the tracks expecting to see the worst. But what she saw made her cry even harder with relief. Tiger had actually saved his sister. Just as the train got to them, he pushed both of their heads down. This saved Lexi's life as the train passed over both of them. Daniela was so relieved, but she knew it was far from over and that there was still work to be done. And she had Alex to help her. Daniela and Alex rushed to the two canines and started the process of helping. She couldn't believe that her darling Lexi could have been stuck here the entire morning. She saw that her leg was pinned under the track. Carefully she and Alex slowly pulled Lexi's leg out of the track. The dog had never looked so grateful before and excitedly licked both of them as a thank you. But it was clear that she was limping, she was safe now, but they had to get her home. Alex carried Lexi in his arms all the way home so she wouldn't have to limp on the ground. Tiger followed right behind with a concerned look on his face. Once the couple got home, they put Lexi on their couch and examined her leg. It seemed that it was just a sprain from being stuck and that she would be fine. They rewarded both the dogs for getting through the experience and counted their blessings that they had Tiger, who was the hero that day.